Hello everyone and welcome back to Code Relays. I probably don't say this often enough, but if you're new here, welcome in. My name is Rael. We're in the middle of a Code Relays series. This is going to be part 2 of Impey's route. And did I even save it? Dang it, I don't think I did. So we're going to be doing part 2 of Impey's route. Impey. This is the third one that we're doing. But it doesn't really matter which one you start on. I would just recommend reading part 1 first and the first game if you haven't read that, which I also have on my channel as well. Let me just pause it for a minute so I can get back to where we were. Alright, this is where we left off. They're going to meet Impey's patron for his moon project, and Saint Germain is leading the way there.
「久しぶりね、お嬢ちゃん。そして、インピー・バービケーン。
はい。本日はお招きに預かり光栄の。
He's trying to be all proper. You mean?
サンちゃん、パトロンってまさか女王様のことを？
ええ、見ての通りです。どうですか？考えうる限り最も強力なパトロンだと思いますが。
You know, you're not gonna find a more wealthy patron than her. What do we think? Even for Saint Germain, this was incredible. His smile has true mirth in it, and I realize that he probably left the Queen's name out on purpose. Alexandria Victoria, Queen of the United Kingdom. She smiles benevolently. Lionheart, captain of the Imperial Guardsmen, is by her side as always.
そんなに構えないでちょうだい。別に取って食べたりはしないわ。
陛下のおっしゃる通り、もっと楽にしてくれたまえ。貴公らはノーチラス事件の功労者だ。我々としても無下に扱う気はない。仮にルパンがこの場にいたら？無論逮捕に決まっている。
With extreme prejudice. But he was of as much meritorious service.
それはそれ、これはこれだ。
I still have trouble trying to figure out where Lionheart's priorities lie. His voice is loud as ever, there's that.
さて、
He's always loud.
話はサンジェルマン伯爵に聞かせてもらったわ。何でも月へ向かうため資金援助の当てを探しているそうね。
Victoria scrutinizes us both, her look probing. At last Impey comes to terms with the reality of the situation. He launches into a layman's explanation, his face serious.
サンちゃんに聞いてるなら話は早いね。聞いての通り、俺たちは今月へ行くための準備を進めてる。
I just noticed this, but it looks like she has a pumpkin on her head.
でも問題は山積みだ。俺たちを乗せる船の設計開発に本格的な発射台の構築、船外活動についても考える必要があるし、あとはノーチラスから回収した壊れた重力緩和装置の修復。打ち上げ自体には目処が立ってるけど、まだまだやることがいっぱいあるんだよ。
なるほど。そのために開発費用が必要になってくると。
I nod slowly and deliberately. Firing off capsules is one of the first steps. The dream won't be realized until we're able to launch a ship that takes us beyond the skies and set foot on the moon itself. We beseech you, my queen, please consider our proposal. Who's the formal one?
私からもお願いします。まるで夢物語のような話ですが、これは決して成功の見込みがない無謀な計画ではありません。
The three of us lower our heads in respective Victoria's stations. She squints at us.
あなたたちにはノーチラス撃墜の際我が国を救ってもらった借りもある。私個人としては資金を出すのにやぶさかではないわ。
Really?
さすがビクトリアちゃん、話がわかる。
You're gonna have Lionheart biting on your shirt.
ビクトリアちゃん。
レオンハルト、やかましいから静かに。
Quiet down.
しかし陛下、この男は確か以前も陛下の名を。
あの時も別に構わないと言ったでしょ。なんならあなたもそう呼んでもいいのよ。
めっそうもありません。私にとって陛下は陛下です。
The Queen of England sighs. Her most loyal knight bows with all of the formality he can muster. I look at them askance, but I tried to just skip over that word, but again, the strange words in this. I look at them askance, but feel like a great weight has been lifted from my shoulders. Nothing could be more reassuring than the kingdom itself backing us. Isn't it wonderful, Impey? I think this might be the end of our money troubles, not journey troubles.
はあ、サンちゃんに感謝感謝だね。それじゃあ早速費用を試算して。
まあ待ちなさいな。そう結論を急ぐものではないわ。最初に言ったはずよ。資金を出してもいいというのはあくまで私個人の意見だと。
What do you mean? Her tone is portentous, and just like that I feel brought down to earth. She needs a favor. It is not like the Queen who answers our many unspoken questions, but Saint Germain.
なるほど。
That's not what he said.
いくら一国の為政者といえど、個人で動かせる資金は限られる。ということですか。
Well, depending on how you say it, I guess that's what he said, but it's never translated as that. It's always translated as I see.
その通りよ。ある程度までなら私の一存でも出せるけれど、それ以上の額となれば女王の私とて議会を通さずに承認することはかなわない。つまり国からの支援が欲しかったら議会を納得させるだけの技術力があると示してもらう必要があるわ。
Our engineering, how would we...
何か発明品でも見せろってことならいくらでも出せるもんはあるけど。
当たらずとも遠からずね。
Victoria gives a regal nod and gets to the heart of the matter.
数年前ロンドンで国際博覧会が開かれていたことをあなたたちは覚えているかしら。
Now I suddenly remember what Impey's route is about. Universal Exposition?
またの名を万国博覧会。要するに多数の国が参加した国際的な展覧会ですよ。
Newly developed machines and products of industry art exhibitions. Each participating country displays the finest they have to offer, divided into several categories. Really a massive event. It was known as the Great Exhibition. Some 6 million people attended, and the whole of London was caught up in its festive atmosphere.
特に会場となった水晶宮クリスタルパレスはすごい人出で、古今東西の文化が集うとあって大変な騒ぎとなっていましたよ。私としても実に眼福でした。
This is a Crystal Palace in Final Fantasy. It does sound tailor-made for your interest, Saint Germain. I can just imagine him being left to his own devices in such an event and coming home with a king's ransom of antiques.
ちなみに俺も見に行ったけど機械関係もすごかったよ。
I think she's gonna make you win first place or something.
オートモービルに天体望遠鏡でもって 新型の蒸気機関車。目を見張る技術のオンパレードでさ、俺も毎日のように足運んでたし。
It sounds so enchanting. I wish I'd be able to go. I would have loved to walk around with you and be seeing all those sights. They speak of it with such infectious fondness. I can only imagine what it must have been like. Strolling around the Crystal Palace, eyes wide with wonder, learning about new technology from all over the world. Impey would be so excited, explaining how each new piece of equipment that caught his eye worked. We would have had so much fun together. Why are you being sad? You're going to do it again. Impey smiles at me broadly. It must have been obvious what I was thinking.
よし、カルディアちゃん、今度万博デートしよっか。
World's Fair D. Huh, but this was years ago, isn't it already over?
ロンドンではね。でも俺が聞いた話だと、また今度開かれるんだってさ。
その通りよ。次の博覧会はフランスはパリで開催されるわ。そこで当然我が大英帝国も展示する品を厳選しているけれど、
残念なことにその時目玉となる予定の品の制作が非常に難航していてな。そこで機構の出番というわけだ。インピー・バービケン。
つまりその予定の品とやらの制作に協力しろって。
ええ、知っての通り我が国の科学技術はアイザックの功績で他の国々を圧倒しているわ。とはいえ各国からはアイザックの遺産頼りと見られているのも事実なので、英国としてはこの機会にアイザック以外にも優秀な技術者がいることをアピールしておきたいのよ。
Now I see. I'm finally beginning to understand. If you can tell where this is going to, he turns to the queen, scratching his head.
言っとくけどさ、武器とか兵器とかそういう物騒なものはお断りだからね。
安心なさい。あなたの性格を知ってなお兵器を作らせるほど私も愚かではないわ。
Then what does she want from us? From him? So is it an airship or?
当初はその予定もあったわ。でも今さらどれだけすごい飛行船を作ってみせたところで仕方ない。あの戦艦のオチラスのインパクトにはかなうはずもないでしょ。
That's a good point.
あの事件はフランスや各国でも大きな話題になっていましたからね。あれを開発したのはイギリス政府で、完成の暁には他国に攻め込むつもりだったなんて噂話も流れていましたから。
まったく迷惑な話よ。
そんで結局俺に手伝わせたいものって何なのさ。
Oddly, Lionheart grins at the question. And making quite a show of it, points downwards.
決まっているではないか。空でなければ海だ。
I was trying to remember if it was a submarine or not.
なるほど。分かったぜレオンのおっさん。皆まで言うな。
さすがは陛下が見込んだだけのことはある。察しがいいでは。
つまり男たちの夢、女の子用のプリティでセクシーな透ける水着を開発しろってことだな。
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding?
なぜそうなった？
国家の一新をかけて水着開発ですか。万博が悪い意味で盛り上がりますね。
Impey looks excited at the prospect, disturbingly so. Raising a palm to her face, Victoria grits her teeth and ignores this. Turning to me, she continues.
海洋国家であるイギリスは国土の多くが海に面しているわ。だから 多くの資源が眠っているとされる深海を調査する潜水艇を作りたいの。
Oh. Everybody knows that Father's Neo steam engine revolutionized the construction of airships and sea vessels. But I can't think of any country that has yet begun to explore what may lie in the ocean, the deep ocean. That would certainly explain why the project is facing difficulty. So that's what all this was about. What do you think, Impey? After taking a moment for the hubbub in the audience chamber to subside, I ask him. Impey considers and at length opens his mouth to speak.
こっちが援助してもらう立場だし、特に異論はなし。何より面白そうだからね。潜水艇の建造は手伝わせてもらうよ。でも一つだけ、これだけは聞いておきたい。
何かしら？
なんで俺たちの計画に出資してくれる気になったの？
先ほど言ったでしょ。いわば潜水艇建造の見返りに。
それはもう聞いたけど、ちょっとらしくないなと思ってさ。俺たちはもちろん本気で月に行くつもりだけど、世間から見ればこれは荒唐無稽にも程がある計画じゃん。いくら金をつぎ込んだところで結果が出るとは限らない博打みたいなもんだ。だから国益を最優先に考えるあんたが採算の取れない計画に投資を許すってこと自体ちょっと不思議に思えるんだよね。
He's absolutely right. Victoria is stoic and cool, even if she feels that she owes us a debt. She would never dream of wasting money on a project with no benefit to her subjects. Victoria closes her eyes, and Impey's words affected her that deeply.
正直に言えば、あのノーチラスを見たとき、私はこの肌でひしひしと感じたわ。科学技術の恐ろしさを。科学を進歩させればさせるほど、その力は人の及ぶところを外れて制御できなくなっていくのではとね。
当然の不安ですね。人の手に余る力というものは確かにこの世に存在しますから。
Benjamin nods at this almost wistfully. A deep silence falls. I surprise myself by being the first to speak. Maybe, but the man who put an end to Neo's rampage loves science more deeply than anyone else. Science may have run amok that day, but it was also science that ended the madness. That can't be denied.
カルディアちゃん。
ええ、その通りよ。私もそれが言いたかった。科学の危険を目の当たりにしたからこそ、科学の光を見せてほしいと思った。それが投資を決めた最大の理由よ。利益最優先のお堅い女王だって、たまには夢を見てもいいでしょ。
Victoria is the type who doesn't forget attack. I giggle at her teasing rejoinder and answer for Impey. Of course you are, and we'll make that dream come true. Won't we, Impey?
はあ、もちろんだよ。俺たちの目的は世界中の人たちに科学はすごいって見せつけてやること。女王だろうが庶民だろうが関係ない。夢を見るのに、月を見上げるのに資格なんていらないんだから。
How dare you mention Her Majesty and peasants in the same breath? I was preparing for Lionheart to roar something along those lines, but he remained silent. In fact, his expression is kindly.
科学の前では女王だろうと、あくまでも一人の人間か。まったく無礼な話だ。
それでは話はまとまったようですね。
じゃあ女王陛下、資金援助の条件 確かに受けたまわったよ。国際博覧会に出す潜水艇開発への協力、そこで技術を示すこと、それで OK。
ええ、英国女王の名において約束しましょう。
よっしゃ、じゃ契約成立だ。潜水艇だろうがなんだろうが、この天才技師インピー・バービケンに任せとけって。
How much engineering and science would, well, maybe science, but how much engineering would go into a transparent bathing suit? Like, science, sure, because you have to get the fabric to be able to be see-through, probably. But, I mean, whatever. I had read about this in a book. The Thames River, running straight through central London, has long been known for its many shipyards. The submersible under construction is to be Britain's centerpiece at the World's Fair and is being kept from the public eye. Apparently, the government acquired a small shipyard to maintain secrecy, using it as a dry dock for the construction. And so, after parting with Saint Germain, we made our way to the Thames, passing through imposing, heavily guarded security. Oh my, it's gigantic. We were led into a vast building. Originally intended for the construction of large ships, it's now being used for an out-of-the-way place to build the submersible. The clang of metal echoes throughout, and I hear the hiss of steam here and there.
ほう、やってるやってる。
Impey's eyes were agleam. He reminds me of a boy in a sweets shop. It's amazing. That's a submersible. Giant sphere hangs from cranes overhead, like an imposing large eyeball staring down at us. The massive machine was under construction. Its internals exposed, it had a bizarre, misshapen appearance.
ふむふむ、スクリューなしってことは自立駆動するわけじゃない。とすると、吊り下げ式？
Impey carefully surveys the whole structure, taking note of the mechanisms. Hey Impey, can this thing really dive into the deep ocean? The way it was explained to me, I imagined something that looked like a ship.
ああ、それはほら、普通の船っていうのはできるだけ沈まないように作られるんだけど、今回はむしろ正反対。ひたすら深く潜るためのものだからさ。水圧とかもろもろの事情を考えると、こっちのが都合がいいってわけ。
All curiosity, Impey says this without taking his eyes off the craft. He moves closer, examining everything. It was then an unexpected but familiar voice called out to us from behind the huge submersible.
手の空いてる人集まって。次はガラス強度の測定だよ。
Victor, what are you doing there?
え？今の声って。
Victor? We exchanged glances, then walk over to where the voice was coming from. There stood none other than...
インピー、それにカルディアまで。どうしてここに？
そりゃこっちのセリフだっての。
We're here at Victoria's request to help with the submersible, but... He just falls to the ground. Victor drops to his knees in the middle of my sentence, then looks up to the heavens. He has the manner of, how should I put it? A man of the cloth prostrating himself before a descending angel. If he's on the job.
本当に？嘘じゃないよね。
If he has come to save the day.
人員増やすとか言いつつ後から現状の人員で何とかしなさいなとか言ってきたりしないよね。
That was awfully specific. And did the workers surrounding him just start whooping and hollering, clapping each other on the back?
人だ。追加の人員だぞ。
Is everyone giving up on it?
これで帰れる。あったかいベッドで寝れる。
なんだろう、すごい職場だったんだね。 俺ちょっとだけ先が不安。
You don't say, I was just thinking the same thing.
とにかく2人が協力してくれるなら助かるよ。本当に助かるよ。実はもう3日寝てなくて。
That's funny. You have had it rough here. Poor Victor. It's as though a dank, dismal black cloud hangs over him. I'm saved. And so our first date begins. We wouldn't begin hands-on work until tomorrow, or so we were told, being given a tour of the dry dock. We do happen to pass by our worker moaning on the floor, but Victor assured us that the team was in tip-top shape. Moaning on the floor. Do your best, Impey.
あれそこは頑張ろうねじゃない？
Nope. It's all you. The next day, we return to the dry dock. Victor greets us on our way in, and we sit down to discuss the submersible design.
ビクトリアからの依頼ならもう大筋は聞いてるだろうけど、このドックでは深海探査用の有人潜水艇を開発してるんだ。
Submersible. Hearing the word, I glance over at the massive iron sphere hanging from cranes, and that's what's hanging there. I mentioned this to Impey yesterday, but it doesn't look anything like a ship.
確かにそうだね。形状としては潜水艇っていうより潜水球って言った方が正しいかも。
ねえねえ、この設計だとさ、何かしらの外部装置をつける感じなの？パッと見だと海に潜るだけならいらない機能があるみたいだけど。
Impey indicates a spot on the chalkboard. I look into what he's pointing to, but it's Greek to me. I can only tilt my head, not quite understanding.
ああ、それは将来的に深海に住む生物の調査や鉱物の採取を予定してるからなんだ。
はあ、なるほど。余分なものは大胆に排除ってことね。浮上の時はウィンチで巻き上げるの？
その通り。というよりもそれしか方法がないのが本音かな。
なるほどね。じゃあウィンチの出力と船体につなぐケーブルの強度は？
船体重量と水中の浮力を考えて1インチの太さを想定してる。暫定的だけど実験済み。
ふむふむ、抜かりないってことね。じゃあ船体素材の密度は？
それに関してはこっちの資料を。
Ricardi's just sitting there like, nodding, What should I do? When the discussion gets this specialized, there's no way I can keep up. Right. I must do my best to learn so I can be of use to them. Listening to their impassioned conversation, I begin taking notes. My pen flies across the page.
となると次に問題になるのは船体の沈降速度ってとこかね。
そうだね。友人だとどうしても酸素ボンベを積み込む必要があるから。
Count for the weight of oxygen tanks.
速度はもう一度確認してみるよ。船体設計をやり直すと体積が変わる。そうすれば重力加速度も違ってくるし。
Rethinking the design.
お、そんなら再計算は任せてちょうだい。弾道計算で慣れてるからさ。
Leave the recalculations to yours truly.
さっきから全部メモってくれてるの？
Writing all of this down.
インピーのこと大好き。
Impey, I love you.
やめるときも健やかなるときもインピーを愛することを誓います。
Of course he would do this. This is adorable. In sickness and in health, I will love Impey till death do us part.
本当に仲がいいな。
まあね、俺たちラブラブ全開ですから。
Lovey-dovey Max. What? I break out of my note-taking trance and rush to look over what I'd written, and the entirety of the last page is full of silly love babble to Impey. That's funny. After that little episode, and once the basic explanations are finished, Impey walks off to introduce himself to the soon-to-be co-workers, and I take the opportunity to speak with Victor.
やっぱりインピーは頼りになるね。きっと僕一人じゃ限界だったよ。
Victor laughs sheepishly, and I suddenly think of something I have to ask him. Then again, the question may very well hurt his feelings or dampen the mood. Are you alright with this whole thing, Victor? I make up my mind and ask the question.
Oh.
Victoria is behind this project, isn't she? I suppose I'm surprised to see you here. I would have guessed you wouldn't want any part of it. It would be hard to call Victor and the Queen's relationship anything but chilly. She once had a warrant out for his arrest. Perhaps my tone was too concerned. Victor scratches his head, his laugh sounding forced.
まあね。僕だってもちろん複雑だけど、協力する代わりにいくつかお願いを聞いてもらったからさ。
Requests?
そう。僕がずっと探していたもの。その情報を渡してもらったんだ。僕にとってその一件は自分のためだけじゃなくて、すごく大切な人たちのためでもあったから。
People important to you?
そう。君も聞いてるんじゃないかな。ほら、僕とインピーが今共同で研究してる薬の。
Oh, he wants to work on curing her poison.
あっと、そうか。これはまだ内緒だった。
You let it slip. Are you talking about the project you're working on together? Impey hasn't told me anything specific. Only that whatever it is you're working on is important for researching the moon. Impey usually tells me everything, but he won't say a single word about your research. Just being reminded of it causes an unexpected wave of sadness to wash over me. I know Impey must have his reasons, but I feel left out somehow, and it's a very lonely feeling.
ああ、そんな悲しい顔をしないで。大丈夫。必ずその時が来たら、インピーの口から説明してくれるよ。
I wonder.
そうだよ。だってあのインピーだよ。君のことが好きで好きで好きすぎてしょうがない人なんだから。いつか絶対彼が教えてくれるよ。君たちにとってすごく素敵な研究をね。
Victor's eyes are full of profound kindness.
だからいいんだ。ビクトリアと約束した以上、僕はこの仕事をちゃんとこなすよ。
I nod knowing Victor is telling me the truth.
それじゃ、インピーが戻ってきたら本格的な製造作業に入ろうか。期待してるからね。
I think she makes him a sandwich in this one too. Go right ahead. Impey and I are good for it. Time flies by once we settle into our jobs re-engineering this submersible. Impey and Victor are new to the field, so it won't get finished in one day, not with the constant stream of problems anyway. Experiments continue at the dry dock day after day, always 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. It's especially tough on Impey, who was tasked with redesigning the hull. He bears more responsibility than anyone else. He's been working eccentric hours the past few weeks, splitting his time between the mansion and the dry dock. This week has been worse than usual. Other than a few catnaps here and there, he isn't getting any sleep at all. It's an unremarkable night, like any other since our work began. Contrary to the relative warmth of the day, nights have been getting colder lately. It's now past midnight, absolutely frigid. I walk down the hallway carrying a tray atop, which is balanced by the late night snack I made for Impey. Compared to what Impey can cook, it's barely even worth being called a snack, but I hope he likes it. On top of the tray is a plate of bacon, nicely browned toast, and fresh brewed coffee. I'm involved in development now, but I mostly oversee experiments and manage data. Impey works 10 times harder than I do. He hasn't even taken a single break. This is the very least I can do for him. Here we are. I stopped just outside St. Germain's bedchamber and knocked lightly. I see him there. I'm sorry to bother you while you're hard at work. May I come in, Impey? He should be holed up in St. Germain's room right about now, scrutinizing the new submersible design. Victor recently told me they were about to reach the moment of truth, so... Impey? I think he's asleep. No answer. Is he not in the room? I slowly let myself in, assuming he must have stepped out for a moment. My goodness, so many books. That's a bedchamber I thought was like a library. Piles of books have been taken down from their shelves, laying in heaps and stacks on the desk and floor. Countless scraps of paper are strewn around the main desk, covered with illegible scribbling, his notes, I suppose. It's almost impossible to walk without stepping on something. And as for Impey... I find him sandwiched between two towering stacks of books. He's sleeping soundly, all of his upper body laying flat against the desk. Impey, did you fall asleep? He's mumbling in his sleep about calculated water pressure and the design of the hull. Now he's probably dreaming about the mystery project I'm not privy to. The fact he's using Victor's name suggests as much. I can't help but half smile, half grimace. Poor Impey, you don't even have time to dream, still working in your sleep. Now that I think about it, this is totally in keeping with his personality. When he really sets his mind on something, he barrels towards it single-mindedly. Even when Lupin and the others were living here in the mansion, he'd forget to eat or sleep when a good idea struck. That immense capacity for concentration is probably one of Impey's greatest strengths as an engineer. But still. Hey, Impey. I look down at Impey's gentle, sleeping face. He almost looks like a little boy, exhausted after playing. The thought makes me grin as I set his tray off to the side. Hands free, I lean in closer to his face. Aw, that's cute. I lowered myself to be level with the side of his face. I'm so close I can't make out each individual eyelash. Sometimes I worry. Once you make up your mind to focus on something, you become blind to everything else. And you're so sunk with work that you even forget to rest. I wonder if it's my job as your significant other to explain flat out that this just isn't good for you. What do you think, Impey? Not that I could stop you anyway. No matter how exhausted you are, you enjoy work so much. I don't think I could ever take that away from you. Because, well, part of what makes you the most wonderful man in the world is your unshakable faith in your dreams. I read that people in love either don't notice or willfully ignore their partner's shortcomings. I'm beginning to understand. I can't get over how childlike he seems in slumber, but I continue talking quietly and evenly. I suppose I really do love seeing you work toward realizing our dream more than anything else. Wait, no. What am I saying? I do love that, but then again, I love everything about you. You wake him up. think he's pretending now. You showed me affection, me a poisonous monster. I had no idea why I was born, yet you called me a breathtakingly beautiful embodiment of dreams. I don't think you fully understand how much that meant to me. My words of gratitude are hardly enough. Even if I devote my entire existence to you, there are some debts I'll never be able to repay. Impey, you're the most important person to me in the entire world. When the day finally comes that I'm free of poison, I want to feel your lips against mine like I did before. I want to be able to kiss you over and over again. Things I could never say to Impey if he were awake come pouring out of my mouth in a rush. Just listen to how embarrassed and nervous I am. I could never say this to his face. He's not snoring anymore. Uh-oh, the music went away. His face. Impey? He's trying to keep hold of himself. Are you awake? He's blushing, and look at her face. She's not amused. You are awake.
寝てるよ。超寝てる。
Impey's so adorable.
さあさあ、寝てるから気にしないでいいんだよ。君からの素直でピュアなラブを心ゆくまで言ってちょうだい。Please.
Please. I like how he mixes English words in here. She's like, no, goodbye. It serves you right. I can hardly be faulted for picking up the nearest dictionary and rapping him over the head with it. Poor Impey. I want to stop it here because I know there's a CG coming up that I want to use, and I don't... Maybe I'll just keep going. I'll use it anyway. I was going to use that one because it's really cute, but this one is definitely more interesting. It can't be that far, and I'm only for like 47 minutes in recording. It's not very much. Several more days pass. Overall plans for the submersible or bathysphere rather are nearly complete. I've been told the inner frame have been more or less perfected, but the problem isn't an impeccable frame can solve. Apparently one specific area of development just isn't going well. Impey and Victor have been racking their brains to try and solve it for days. I think it's the type of material they're using that they can't figure out what to do with. I wonder if they're still stuck in the thick of it. I make my rounds along the dry dock with a large basket tucked under my arm. Handing snacks out to the workers has become part of my daily routine.
おや、カルディアちゃん。今日も差し入れかい？ご苦労様。
Okay, maybe it's not a sandwich. Maybe she just passes out snacks to everyone. Oh, good day. Thank you. I know all of you have to work harder than I do. The laborer who passed by me hardly slows down for his exchange, so I wave goodbye to him. Visiting the dry dock day after day, I had gradually become friendly with all the workers. I take a few moments to joke around with one of the older men who's apparently jealous of the lunches I bring Impey. But I'm only paying half attention as I scan the length of the dry dock. And by the way, do you happen to know where Impey and Victor are today?
フランさんは外に出てるからしばらく戻らないかな。インピーさんなら奥の休憩所に行ったはずだよ。
Both of them are such workaholics, the worker says with a sympathetic smile. I have no doubt the entire ensemble workforce would agree. Victor and Impey push themselves harder than anyone else. Part of me is proud of them and part of me is worried. I nod goodbye to the older man. Thank you, I'm off to look for Impey.
ああ、それじゃあね。
The break room. Piled from floor to ceiling with the workers' personal items, there's virtually no space to take a proper break. It's almost as bad as St. Germain's room after Impey ransacked it for books. They are also deeply embroiled in the project. Not one of them has the time to straighten up in here. I make my way forward on unsteady feet, absolutely sure I'm going to trip and fall. I hear water. I think this is the CG I'm talking about. I notice a faint noise that grows louder as I approach. It sounded like water spattering against something. Were the water pipes running through the factory area? I tried to remember peering into the back of the room.
船体の強度をより強めるための素材、何があるかな。もっとよく考えろ。これは政府のためだけじゃない。誰よりも大切なあの子のために、俺の全部を絞り出さなくちゃ。
His broad back was directly in front of my eyes. I stopped dead in my tracks by the sight of his brilliantly shining skin. The glare can't be good from my wide open eyes. The glare. Is he that shiny? What is he doing back here? Why is Impey naked? The pale ivory cast of his skin, drops of water caressing his bare skin, his long hair soaked through. Too many unbidden thoughts to battle in my head. I feel faint and sway on my feet. Well, at least you're only seeing him from the backside, right? Eek! I try to step backward to steady myself and probably fall flat on my rear end. The only saving grace is that I avoid upending my basket of trees all over the floor. He looks at you. He stares blankly at nothing in particular. Eventually he glances into the mirror and our eyes meet in its reflection. This is what you think it'd be. I'm just,
あれ、いつの間に考え事してて全然気づかなかったよ。
not even slightly embarrassed. He didn't.
あ、もしかして差し入れってごめん。俺真っ裸じゃんね。すぐ着替えるから待っててくれる？
Alright. Impey acts as if nothing happened, mumbling mathematic equations to himself as he shuts off the shower. I attempt to demurely avert my eyes, but he only rubs his stiff neck and continues his cryptic one-way scientific dialogue. It was just way too much. I duck outside before Impey can tell how flustered I am. He's just walking around like it's nothing.
超うまい。今日も君の手料理で元気回復ってね。
I'm sure. I'm glad you like it. He tossed on his work clothes after I left him in the shower stall, but the break room was far too cramped for lunch. We ended up eating near the main work floor like we always do. It always makes me happy to watch Impey enjoy one of my lunches, grinning all the while, but... I can't even take a peep at him now without the image of what I had just seen flooding my imagination. Oh, are we fantasizing now? I rarely see his bare back. His shoulders are so much more broad than mine. That simple thought alone starts my heart beating double time, which is silly because I don't actually have one. I swell up with emotions impossible to voice. Of course, Impey completely fails to notice.
どうかした？
Oh, sorry about earlier. You were just there. I didn't notice.
どういうこと？
Meaning I saw you naked.
あ、
You just noticed. Oh my goodness. And a comfortable silence falls over us.
いや、こっちこそなんかごめんね。いや、俺は全然大丈夫だよ。別に裸なんて見られたところで何か減るもんでもないし。てか、あれだよね。さっさと隠せって話だよね。なのに俺ってばさっきは堂々と。はあ、ごめん。俺さっき頭が仕事モードだったから全然周りのこと考えてなくて。思い出したらすごく恥ずかしくなってきた。穴があったら入りたい。
It's no big deal, Impey. I don't mind, not really. He turns several alarming shades of red. Alarming. I'm the one who apologized, but it somehow feels like the exact opposite. I've got to change the subject. So, how's research and development going? I hear you're having a rough go of it trying to find the right material for the hull. The first thing I had to do was take his mind off of it. I knew Impey well enough to choose exactly the right moment, and so I did. He's back in the Althosphere track.
止まってはいないけど、進んでもいない感じかな。
He looks forlornly at the pile of research papers in front of him.
実際、船体設計だけならもうできてるんだよね。内部構造は決まってるし、それに必要な素材も全部揃って組み終えてる。なんだけど。
The biggest problem remains unsolved.
そういうこと。そこさえ片付けば完成のめどが立つんだけど。
The immense pressure deep sea waters exert means the whole material can't simply be hard. Withstanding high water pressure requires what MP calls tensile strength. We need an extremely strong, flexible material. You've already tested everything from steel to exotic alloy of varying metal ratios. You've already tried titanium, a newly identified metal, and even experimented with carbonium. You ran through tests with each substance, but all eventually fail past a certain depth. They just aren't strong enough.
こりゃ何か発想の転換が必要かもね。フランともまた話し合わないと。
A different angle. How much simpler would it be if only those 3 words were enough to spark the solution? Unable to think of anything, I exhaled dejectedly and turned to look outside. Sometimes I wonder if the world would be different if there were more amazing people like you and Victor in it.
自分で言うのもなんだけど、そこまでレベルの高い科学者はあんまりいないっしょ。
There was my father and Nemo.
うわ、そのラインナップは超強烈っていうか、なんていうか。あれ
Impey?
それだよ、カルディアちゃん。それならいけるかもしれない。
What?
ごめん、俺今から出かけてくる。明日の昼には戻ってくると思うから、フランにもそう伝えておいて。
Impey hurls all of the tools in his immediate vicinity into a bag and is off before I can even reply. And so the night passes. At noon the following day, I arrive at the docks as I do every day and wait with Victor for Impey to return.
インピー、どこに行ったんだろうね。
I don't know. He grabbed his things and dashed off without a word.
そっか。何をするつもりなんだろう。船体素材で何か思いついたのかな。
I couldn't say, but I have a feeling we won't be disappointed. Maybe he just had this look when he sped off. He was practically glowing. The confidence makes Victor smile. Just then, almost as if he could sense exactly what we were talking about, Impey's figure appears on the horizon, growing larger as it dashes towards us.
お待たせ待たせちゃってごめん。
Welcome back, Impey.
彼女から話は聞いたよ。何か対策を思いついたって。
Impey takes a deep, satisfied breath and beams at us.
俺たちはね、重要なものを忘れてたのさ。
No sooner had he said this than Impey begins rummaging through his bags. Finally, he produces a single metal plate with a dull luster.
じゃん、これなんだ。
A metal plate.
これってちょっと貸してもらってもいい？
もちろん。二人の目でも存分に確認してやってちょうだいな。
At first glance, it seems no different than any other tooled metal plate. But something about its dull gleam is familiar. Furrowing my brow, I reach out to touch it.
やっぱりただの鉄じゃない。多分何かの化合物だね。
Meaning an alloy, it does seem incredibly hard.
そりゃそうさ。頑丈さにかけてはお墨付きだよ。何せ英国自慢の空挺騎士団、その一斉砲撃にも耐えきる代物だからね。
それってまさか。
Part of the Nautilus's hull?
ピンポンピンポンピンポン、大正解。さすがは俺の愛するマイレディー。
He's so silly.
さあ、正解者には熱い抱擁をプレゼント。
Still poisonous. I'll pass on that for now.
しかもそれだと僕も熱い抱擁されちゃうね。
That's funny. Victor wants the steamy cuddles too. Putting the steamy cuddles aside. How come Impey didn't even say anything to that? Impey grins proudly and raps the plate with his knuckles.
ちょっとノーチダスの墜落地点まで行ってきてさ。いや、ひっぺがすのに苦労したよ。
驚いたよ。この素材を流用しようっていうの？
ささ、単純に硬いってだけなら他にも候補あったんだけど、ここまでざっと調べた限りだと、この素材は張力に対しても非常に強い性質を持ってる。それに長く川に沈んでたにもかかわらず、腐食による劣化もほとんど見られない。まだまだ調べなきゃいけないことは山ほどあるんだけど、俺の勘が正しけりゃこいつは海の底まで行けるはず。
Did the Bathysphere project just take a giant step forward?
それだけじゃないんだな。確かにこいつは潜水球にも使えるけど、俺はこれを俺たちの月へ行く船にも使おうと思ってるんだ。
We always knew that building materials for our trip to the moon would be a major hurdle we'd eventually have to tackle. If that problem had just got solved in one fell swoop, nothing could have made me happier.
というか、これは俺の干渉になっちゃうんだけどさ。せっかくだし、ネモの技術も宇宙へ連れてってやろうと思って。
He laughs at his own words and fixes his gaze on the sky, continuing as though to himself.
ネモは変態で自分勝手で視野が狭くてどうしようもない科学者だったけど、俺と似てる部分もあったからさ。
Something in common with Nemo?
うん。科学が純粋に好きなとことかね。あいつはその使い道を間違えちゃったけど、でも俺あいつのこと嫌いじゃなかったから。
It occurs to me that this respect for a fellow scientist was a large part of why Impey stood up to quell Nemo's rampage. Of course, Nemo met his own end in the process. Perhaps it was inevitable. And besides, I wonder if he was thinking along the same lines. Nemo, a mad scientist who created the Nautilus to rain destruction down upon London, rendering the city a sea of fire. He had made his goal clear. A world in which the pursuit of hard science was unaffected by concepts of ethics or morality. The type of science he espoused had, of course, brought about the nightmare of the Nautilus. Nemo had become so tainted by these views that he allowed innocence to perish in a hail of bombs, an inexcusable sin. And yet...
間違った道を歩んでたあいつでも全部間違ってたわけじゃないって証明してやりたくてさ。どうかな、二人とも。
Am I making the wrong choice? Impey asked the question silently, looking imploringly from me to Victor and back again. I don't think there's anything wrong with using a material Nemo created. No matter who did the research, who made it, science itself is not sinful. You taught me that, Impey. Just like you taught me that my own existence is no sin. I'm blessed to have people who acknowledge and affirm my existence through their words and deeds. And so I felt I should honor Impey and acknowledge this. Nemo's creations can be used for purposes other than destruction.
うん、そういうことなら僕も喜んで賛成するよ。
Victor offers a smile, then seems to remember something.
僕は王立教会にいた頃のネモを知ってるけど、彼はいつも孤立してたから、自分の天才性に誰もついてこられないって。でもきっと彼は望んでたんだと思う。共同で何かを研究できるような、同じものを追いかけられるような、そんな仲間が欲しかったんだと思う。だからきっと連れて行ってあげたら喜ぶよ。
力を借りたりしたらちょっとばかりうるさいかもだけどね。やはり私の力が必要なのだね、マイフレンドよとか。
That does sound like Nemo. Of course, there was no way of truly knowing what Nemo may have thought of our plan, but I want to believe. I want to believe that deep down his passion for science was genuine.
さて、何にせよまずは潜水級だ。これから忙しくなるからね。
Impey declared this last with equal parts confidence and emotion. Yay! So this is where I think I'm going to stop the episode, because I don't think that there's very much more left of Impey's route. I could do it all in one video, but everything's been in 3 parts up until now, so I kind of want to stay with the theme of part 1, 2, and 3. I think having Impey with just 2 parts will like throw everything off. At least to me, when I'm like looking in the playlist, there's a part 1, 2, and 3 of every route, and I'm just going to keep to that. So this is where I'm going to stop. Impey's part 3 may only be like 40 minutes, but it's whatever. Yeah, Impey finally has a lead on what he needs to do, and he is going to get with it. I kind of like how this one has nothing really to do with getting used to their feelings with one another. Lupin's route and Saint Germain's route, one or the other was discontent with their actually, we had 3 of them. We had Van Helsing's too. They were all discontented with their feelings. One of them was insecure in one way or another. Van Helsing was basically trying too hard, which made Cardia lonely. Cardia was insecure about Lupin because she doesn't feel like that he was enthralled enough with her. And then Saint Germain was insecure because he was afraid that once her poison was gone, that she was just going to leave. So this is finally one route that has nothing to do with love insecurities. It's just a happy couple working towards a future goal of going to the moon, which is cute. I think Victor's is kind of the same thing too. I don't remember any insecurities in Victor's, but we'll see, I guess. Anyways, if you guys did enjoy, drop a like down below and or subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.